Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.info. During the Eastern Zhou dynasty in the spring and autumn periods, hundreds of princely states competed in the land of Shenzhou in the Central Plains, which was an era of the collapse of liturgy. In a certain mountain range, more than 20 walking animal figures leisurely dine in the jungle, brownish-yellow body with plum-like white spots, with long ears, a short tail, and a long neck. This is a herd of Sika deer. As vegetarians, they have food no matter how the outside world changes. The deer herd is basically female and young deer, and the male deer generally live alone. At this time, one of the deer in the deer herd is different from the naughtiness of other young deer. He stands tightly in the middle of the deer herd, eating with all his strength, completely unlike several other young deer, full of curiosity about the outside world, bouncing and running around, making their mothers headache and helpless. Suddenly, a gray-black figure rushed out of the grass not far away, and it was a wolf. At the moment when the wolf rushed out, the deer were frightened and fled, and the young deer in the middle did not need the reminder of the other female deer at all, and flew away with the other female deer. And a very naughty young deer that ran out of the deer circle was unfortunately successfully captured by this wolf. The mother of the young deer let out a cry of grief and did not come to the rescue. If it is a male deer, it is still possible, and a female deer without antlers is too threatening to carnivores. After successfully capturing his prey, the wolf did not continue to hunt the deer, and happily dined on the spot. It's dangerous. This time I escaped the disaster smoothly. The fleeing herd came to rest at the other end of the mountain, and a young deer lay tired on the ground panting, and the look of anthropomorphism appeared in its eyes. That's right, this young Sika deer is a crosser named Ling Ye. As for how to cross, it doesn't matter, all Ling Yi cared about now was to save his life. OMG, you let me cross it. How can you change my race? Change it, but why did you change me into a deer? Ling Yi felt helpless as a Sika deer, not to mention that it is a good prey item in the eyes of some medium and large carnivores. Even humans are natural enemies. After all, the deer are treasures, and various parts can be used for medicine, and the use is very extensive. If nothing else, deer antler velvet alone has longevity effects. As the only mammal that can regenerate organs, male Sika deer lose their horns and long horns every year, which is why many people like to catch and breed deer. Especially this month, there are many human soldiers fighting outside the mountains. Every few days, there will be humans in the mountains to hunt. Ling Yi, 5 days ago, witnessed 7 or 8 soldiers in the mountains, bow and arrow hitting a female deer, so that Ling Yi, who is only more than 3 months old, was frightened. If he could, he just wanted to grow up fast enough to become an adult, and when he grew into an adult buck, he was confident that he could live well even if it was a Sika deer. After all, he didn't have to worry about food, and he couldn't afford to hide. But the lifespan of the Sika deer is also short, only 20 years, which is still the case at the end of life. He didn't know what kind of world it was, whether it was an ordinary ancient world without supernatural powers or a mysterious world with magical powers. If he could encounter a few spirit herb treasure herbs and eat them, it might increase his lifespan. Alas, what kind of energy do I fantasize about? I don't know if I can live well enough to become an adult. Ling Yi shook off the deer's head, feeling that it was more practical to care about the present. Ling Yi was lying on the grass, silently recovering his strength. Just at this moment, a ding-dong suddenly appeared in his head. What is this sound system? Ling Yi was first surprised, then confused, followed by a meal of ecstasy. God certainly didn't abandon me. A whole bunch of information automatically appeared in his mind, and Ling Yi quickly knew what the system functions he had were. This system is called the simulator system, and there is only one function, that is plot simulation, which is a virtual simulation, which can also be said to be an evolutionary simulation. This is a chance for me to get rid of being an ordinary Sika deer. Ling Yi said excitedly. Soon, a template that only Ling Yi himself could see appeared in front of his eyes. Name: Ling Yi, species. Sika deer, features. Antlers can be regenerated, have high self-healing ability, high endurance, and high immunity. Current lifespan: 22 years. Evaluation: you are a very healthy young Sika deer, excellent in all aspects. Coupled with the human soul, you are very likely to become a deer king in adulthood, as long as you do not die young. Beware of threats from other predators and humans. There is also a horizontal bar below the template, indicating that Ling Yi can set his final form is the final form of the deer and evolutionary direction. Ling Yi fell into thinking. Two creatures popped up in his mind, one was a dragon, and the other was a unicorn, both are mythical supreme beasts. One belongs to the king of scales and the other belongs to the king of beasts. Dragons have rumors that everything can be transformed into dragons, but in Ling Yi's view, snakes and fish are the best first creatures to evolve into dragons. I'd better choose the unicorn. After all, it is both animals, and from the font, the original creature of the unicorn is obviously also a deer. This evolution direction is easier, but can I add something else? Ling Yi thought of all kinds of fantasy novels from his previous life, including the Kirin of fire and water, which have obvious attributes. Set it to Chaos Kirin. Ling Yi nodded. Chaos contains everything with the Kirin. If the Kirin is also divided into 3, 6, or 9, then the Chaos Kirin must be at the top. As Ling Yi set his final form as Chaos Kirin in the template, the system immediately gave him a gift for free. Nirvana. Energy can be accumulated in the body. When all aspects reach the limit of their present form, Nirvana can evolve, transform itself, and improve the level of life. During Nirvana, the body will remain petrified and invincible, and it will take a long time. When used carefully, this talent can only be used in the real world. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.